Okay, folks, again, it's close to 10 p.m. now. Getting the 2.5 ready to install in the 2011 Subaru Forester. This is the donor engine that's going in it. Had to take the wiring harness off because there was a plug that goes into the EGR valve where several of the wires were pulled out of the back of the plug. So I didn't feel like going into an extensive repair. So I figured I'd just take the engine harness off of the original engine and install it. So I had to remove the intake, which I was going to probably do anyway, to install it and be able to get to the torque converter bolts, which you get to through that little window right there. It's just a little bit easier. You can see everything and you don't have to wrestle and fight with it. I don't like fighting with anything. But as I was taking the intake manifold off, I noticed that the front of it had a milky substance in the front. So that said to me that water had gotten in it. I figured it's just water from weather, what have you. Well, I was right. But more importantly, when I pulled it off, water sloshed and fell on the top of the engine. So that's engine is tilted forward now. So that suggested to me that if that's the case, you probably got water inside of the cylinders. Sure enough, you see a little sign of a little wetness there. I decided to rotate the engine because I said, well, I hate to put this thing in, it doesn't start up because I'm gonna be really upset. Well, sure enough, rotate the engine, this is what we get: a puddle of brown water. This is from this engine comes from one of our local salvage yards here in Jacksonville, Florida. I personally don't buy anything from them. I've done work for another repair facility once before, and I think I installed 5 engines that week because I had to pull 2 of them out again. So I originally was contracted to install 3. I installed 1 per day and had to take 2 of them back out. One was smoking real bad, the other was knocking. This is from leaving the engine out in the weather. For whatever reason, this engine was left out in the rain. It collected water in the cylinders. The engine spins, rotates pretty freely, and I think the only thing is it actually allowed me to do this without get the water out of the engine without having to pull the spark plug is because it's a flat 4 essentially. So you have your intake ports up here, and then your exhaust ports are all the way up in the bottom down there. So it's as it rotates, and opens up the valve, it can pump the water out directly right there as soon as it, gravity causes it to fall out. So we don't have to worry about bending valves essentially. But it's a bummer because, I guess I can just pull the spark plugs out of the other engine and put them in here. But it potentially ruin, if this engine is any good, you could ruin an engine this way very easily. You could lose compression just because you left it out in the weather. I know a repair facility here in Jacksonville that'll have a couple of engines just sitting outside, and they're like, oh, that engine runs great. And I often think to myself, well, you don't have it closed off from the elements. Cylinder walls can rust, water can get in, moisture, heat cycles can cause rust. And it's like, okay, well, whatever. And then there are other salvage yards who take care of, when they discover they have a good engine, they take care of it. They tape it all off, close it up, and make to ensure that they don't have these kinds of problems. At any rate, just wanted to make that known, and we're going to go ahead and sit this puppy down in there, change the spark plugs and coils from off of the old engine, and hopefully we don't have any problems. So, this car specialist, we're signing out.